Hey there, and welcome to another edition of Ask Ethan Live. I am Ethan of the Ask Ethan Live, social media attorney here to field all of your questions about the effect of social media on the law. And today, I'm incredibly excited to talk to you about influencer law. Yeah, influencer law, is that a thing? You bet. And I'm going to be fielding your questions all about it today. So, during the live, feel free to take your questions and pop them in below. Hey guys, thanks for joining. Yay, I know, I'm excited too. This is going to be so much fun. So feel free to drop your questions below, and I'm here to answer them for you. Now, remember, answering your questions is not legal advice. It's just general information, but it's still going to be great. I promise. I mean, I'll do my best. But if you do have specific questions about a specific legal matter, feel free to slide them into my DMs. Happy to answer them privately, but we're not creating an attorney-client relationship here, even though I know we're friends. So, without further ado, influencer law. Is that a thing? You bet. Influencers are great to help grow your following, build a brand, and to get out there in front of a larger audience. But there are serious laws that apply both to influencers and the companies that hire them. And we're going to cover those laws during the live today. And because whether you are an influencer that wants to grow your brand but do it legally, or you're a brand that hires influencers all the time and wants to know the do's and don'ts, it's important to know both sides of the spectrum. And I'm not going to discriminate. I'm here to answer them all. So again, for those of you who just joined, well, that's beautiful wallpaper. You know, I couldn't agree more. My mom picked that out, and man, she was the best. And look, it's real. It's not one of those fake Zoom wallpapers that are there. There's also some sconces up on the wall. It's a little weird, but like, okay, cool. So glad you enjoy the wallpaper. Me too. So now that we're joining in and talking about all things wallpaper, now let's talk about all things influencer law. So drop your questions. Happy to field them. Answers not legal advice. Without further ado, let's go. All right, first question. Look at all those hearts. Oh my gosh, you guys are great. This is fantastic. I would love to know if I have to pay influencers I use for brand postings. Do you have to pay influencers? No. If they want to do it for free, then amazing. And in fact, one of the things that's really important that you bring up is the difference between who is a paid influencer or someone that is getting something of value and who is not. Because look, we all want to have raving fans who talk great about our products, services, firms, etc. online. And you know what? That's encouraged. It's why Google has people leaving 5 stars about your company. And so if someone posts online how much they love your product or service, that's great. They can do so. And if they're getting nothing of value in return for it, that's exactly what we want to do. We want people to be raving fans of your brands and your companies. But if someone is getting paid to say something nice about your company, that's when influencer law comes in, because we want to tell the difference between someone who's just leaving a genuine review because your brand is awesome and someone who's getting paid for it. Now, lots of times people will say to me, hey, Ethan, I'm not going to pay people any money. I'm just going to send them some products or services. And then if they just magically happen to say things nice out of their brand, isn't that okay? And the answer is not really. So what I mean by that is whether someone is getting paid actual money, or if they're getting free products or services, or a free night in your hotel, or I don't know, a free cool looking coffee mug. Also not coffee because it's 6:30 p.m. It's just water. I faked it, but it kind of matched the outfit. No, it didn't. I need a stylist. So whether they get something for free, whether they get something for paid, they have to be able to disclose this. And that's what influencer law is all about. So you don't have to pay them. But what do you need to do if you pay people? Okay. If someone is getting something of value, then they're going to have to clearly and conspicuously disclose the nature of the sponsored relationship between your company and them. Meaning they have to do things such as saying #ad, a sponsored post, or somewhere up at the very top of the post saying something like, I received some free products from XYZ company, and let me tell you, they're freaking awesome. I would say great things about them if they didn't send them for me for free, but they have to disclose that so that people know the difference between one or the other. So awesome question. Yes, they can do it for free, but if they get paid, they must let you know. Okay, we got a bunch of questions coming in. One is, what is an influencer agreement? Second one, if an influencer is my client, can she or give a special testimonial about my law firm? Do you think it is considered an ad? Okay, cool. So let's start with the second question first, and then we'll come back to what an influencer agreement is. So question that came in. If an influencer is my client, can he or she give special testimony about my law firm? Do you think that is considered an ad? Okay, in this instance, what you're telling me is somebody is a client of your firm, or they're a customer of your brand, and they want to say something nice about you online. Are they an influencer? The answer is no under the law, which is good, because that means that they can say nice things about you. And that's exactly what we want people to do. We want people who come to use your law firm or your company to have such a wonderful experience that they will say something great online, even without you asking. And even if you say, hey, I'm so glad that we got this great result for you. I really hope that you enjoyed our product or service. Would you consider leaving us a review on Google? That's still okay. And while their review might influence people in a way, they're not an influencer under the law such that it triggers their responsibility to say something like #ad or this is a sponsored review. So it's totally cool to have raving fans, customers, and clients of your law firm, company, whatever it is that you're doing, say nice things about you. But there's one small caveat, and that is what we call a quid pro quo agreement. Quid pro quo means I do something for you, you do something for me. And so in that way, it doesn't necessarily violate influencer laws, but in a law firm perspective, it could violate the laws about people who are making potentially misleading statements about your law firm, because now there's an agreement for you guys both to say nice things about each other. So long as they do it out of the kindness of their heart, or you ask them to do it and they oblige, that's okay. So I hope that answers your question. Oh my gosh, look at all those hearts. That's wonderful. So I hope that answered your question about clients. Now, next question. First of all, what's up, David? Glad to have you join us. And what do we got here? Oh, yeah, you're welcome. And Zello, welcome for joining us as well. Good to have you here. Okay, next question is an influencer agreement. What the heck is that? An influencer agreement is essentially just a contract between you and your influencer, or between the influencer and the brand themselves. And the good thing about an influencer agreement is it memorializes the terms of the deal. What is the influencer going to do? How much are they going to get paid for doing it? What happens if they don't do it correctly? When are they going to do so? Can they say bad things about you? Must they use their own original work, or can they use some music from somebody else? The contract itself is going to lay everything out so that the terms of the deal are very clear between the influencer and their brand. But what makes an influencer contract extra special, as opposed to just any contract that's out there, is that it should also include provisions to make sure that the influencer and the brand that hires them follows the influencer laws. Why? Because if the influencer breaks the law by not disclosing the sponsored post, they technically violated the law, but the brand that hires them can also be responsible, absent having a contract that puts the liability on the influencer, but more importantly, instructs the influencer on what they should or should not be doing. So a smart brand is going to say the best way to do this is not only to do it effectively, but also to do it legally. And so my contract is going to make sure that my brand is protected, but at the same time, it's going to educate my influencer about what they should or should not be doing. And if there are certain types of disclosures that they want the influencer to use, or things that they should avoid doing, you could put that into the contract itself. And in this way, if the influencer makes a mistake, the brand could say, hey, look, you made a mistake. You didn't put that #ad. You didn't say it's a sponsored post. Please go edit it ASAP, or else this is going to be a breach of the contract and we don't have to pay you. And we're not going to be held responsible for you not putting those disclosures on the post because we agreed contractually that you would do it. So in a nutshell, that's what an influencer contract looks like. And this doesn't have to be written like the Declaration of Independence with a whole bunch of crazy legalese. It could be pretty plain. It could be pretty simple. What we do here at the Social Media Law Firm, for example, is each time a new brand comes to us and says, hey, we want to hire influencers, or a marketing agency wants to hire influencers, we'll create a specific contract for the purpose of hiring that specific influencer, but also empower that brand with a contract that can be modified and updated for future influencers moving forward. So basically you pay for one contract and you can keep updating it yourself and keep the legal terms the same, but update the business terms the same. At the same time, when we're talking about influencers, the same thing. The influencer's interests are going to be slightly different from the brand's. So if we're representing an influencer, we'll make sure to prepare a contract that works for them and at the same time allows them to update the business terms too. So don't panic when you hear that you should have an influencer agreement, because it doesn't need to be 7 years ago with all this crazy legalese. It's really to make sure that everybody is on the same page, because the best relationships are the ones where influencers and the brands are on the same terms and on the same page, and putting it into a contract is the easiest way to do it. All right. Hey, Ethan, thanks so much. Well, you're welcome so much. Thanks for being here. Otherwise, I'd just be talking to my phone, and that would just be weird. But you're here, so thank you. I just got my first brand deal, and I want to make sure that I have my bases covered. Any tips for me? Absolutely. So now we're going to kind of switch things up, because I've been talking mostly about, hey, Silvana, what's going on? By the way, Silvana, happy 1-year anniversary on founding your advertising agency, Advertising Addicts. Look, that's called a shout out, and she didn't even pay for it. So I don't have to say that it was a sponsored post, because it's not, because Silvana's awesome. But going back to Nora's question, what do you want to do if you're an influencer? I think that there are really two things as an influencer now that you're getting your first brand deal. The first thing is to know and understand the law, okay? What brands want to know is not only are they going to partner with an influencer that is going to give them great reach and a lot of bang for their buck, but they want to make sure that they are working with an influencer that knows how to do so in a way that's not going to get the brand in trouble. So empowering yourself by understanding the law and knowing like, hey, yes, I've got to say this is a sponsored post, but I have to do it above the fold, meaning before somebody clicks see more, and how I disclose this on Twitter versus disclosing it on Instagram might be something different. So the first thing that I think an influencer wants to do to be successful the first time that they get a brand contract is know the law. And the second thing is to have a contract themselves. Oftentimes brands are going to say, look, here's our standard form contract, sign it. And sometimes you have to do that when you're working with the big companies in the world. But it's smart, even as an influencer, to have your own contract, because oftentimes smaller businesses and sometimes even big ones don't. And coming with that contract is going to empower you to make the right deal. And at the same time, even if you have to negotiate a couple points, because let's say that the brand says, I want to non-compete, where you're not going to be an influencer for any of my competitors, maybe that's okay for you because it's your first deal, but you might want to limit that to maybe a 3-month period of time. Or only for, let's say, a non-compete for someone that specifically competes with them in that geographic area. And therefore, you can represent other people in other places. So I think those are the two things that you're going to need as an influencer for your first brand contract. Know the law, have a contract. Later on, you're going to want to protect your own personal brand by trademarking it. But that's a whole nother live that you can find right here on our Instagram account by scrolling down a month or two and looking for the trademark live as well. Although I'm happy to field that too, because you know what? We're friends here. Zelo, you said this is so cool. You know what? You're cool. Okay. I just want you to know. I'm putting this here on the record. And look, congrats, Silvana. Yay, Silvana. Wow. Look at all this support. You guys are great. And all these hearts. If I could, I'd hug you. You know what? It's fine. Bring it in. This is COVID safe. No one can get to us. Okay, cool. All right. Next question. Who is an influencer? In other words, what qualifies them as an influencer? Okay. I love the second part of this question. What qualifies someone as an influencer? Because I should not qualify under any standards as an influencer. However, I do have a niche knowledge base of social media and the law, or social media for lawyers as well. So there's actually another company out there that hires me as an influencer to talk about how great of a job their company does at serving the legal industry. And so even a schmo like me, who's 40 years old and nobody wants to follow them on social media compared to like, I don't know, Silvana out there, everybody wants to follow her, or Nora. I can qualify as an influencer. Why? Because I have the ability to influence people. Okay, and while I may not be influencing the masses like the Kardashians, I do have the ability to influence perhaps other attorneys when they're looking to hire a social media investigation company. They may want to know, hey, look, Ethan's kind of the guy when it comes to social media and the law. And I'm not saying that from an ego perspective. I've just been doing it for a while. And so anyone could be an influencer, so long as they have the ability to have some sort of an audience that they can influence. And generally the ones that do it best, the ones that do it genuinely and authentically. Now, when it comes to who is an influencer for purposes of the law, the distinction is someone getting paid, or is there something of value that is being exchanged in response to the content, the post, or the online review? Again, we talked in the beginning of the hour, can my clients at my law firm leave me online reviews, and are they influencers? And the answer to the first question is they can leave me reviews. And the second part of the question is they're not technically an influencer because I'm not paying them to leave a review. So while they can influence people in a way, they're not getting anything of value in return for the review. So it's totally cool to have your customers, your clients, raving fans of your business or your brands leave you online reviews, post stories about how much they love your coffee mugs if you're manufacturing these things. Also, I broke one of these into the dishwasher last week. So if you happen to manufacture these bad boys, I'd love to be an influencer for you and get another coffee mug back because I'm washing the same one all the time. But really, that's that at the end of the day, from a legal perspective, an influencer is someone that gets paid and has value. Okay, tons of more questions. First of all, Knuckles, what's going on, my man? Thank you for joining us. Great to have you here. Also, Knuckles, you looked fantastic on our Instagram page today. Thanks for that review, man. That means a lot. We appreciate you. Okay, Savannah, no, you rock. I'm glad that I made you smile, and you guys are totally awesome. So I'm so glad that you're here and have this conversation together. But you're not here to hear me thank you. You're here for me to answer the tough questions, and it looks like we've got some more. I have a small business. Do you think it's too risky to work with a micro influencer without an agreement? In other words, I'm not sure I can invest in having an agreement written at this time. Okay, this is an awesome question. And I answer your question the same way that I used to talk about having marijuana. Okay, if you like carried marijuana out, the odds of you getting caught, meaning a cop is going to just randomly search you and find marijuana in your pocket, is probably very low, the fact that they're going to do it. But if you're caught, you could have your butt thrown in jail. You might lose your job. It might have really bad effects on you at the end of the day. And so you want to be very careful, even if you're carrying a small amount of marijuana, to not get caught. And of course, this analogy works best in a day and age where marijuana is not legal in like 13, 14 states. But now let's apply that same thought process to working with a micro influencer. Or if you are a smaller brand and you don't have a ton of money, and you're saying, do I have to, under the law, have a contract with a micro influencer? And the answer is no. You're not legally required. And you're probably not going to, you are likely not going to find yourself in a situation where there is a problem. And so could you get away with it as a new business, not having a contract with an influencer? Sure, of course you can. The question's going to be, what happens when that deal goes wrong? Or what happens if the influencer gets paid, doesn't perform that part of the deal, and then you call me at the social media law firm and say, hey, micro influencer, took my money, they didn't make any posts, or they did it wrong, and now what? Or they screwed up, and apparently they've been doing this a lot, and so now I'm being sued as the brand that hired that influencer, and I want to make this the influencer's fault. In both of those circumstances, I'm going to ask you, what does your contract say? And you can have a contract orally, meaning just kind of like making a deal between you two, but it's really hard to prove. At the end of the day, it's all going to go back to the contract itself. So you can hire influencers if you are a new brand without a contract, but you're putting yourself at risk. The amount of risk that you're willing to stomach is totally up to you as a person or as a business, and it's kind of like buying insurance. No small business wants to buy billions of dollars of insurance because it's too expensive. but having no insurance at all is probably too risky for most of us. And so having some sort of protection is good. And so as a small business, having contracts with your influencers, even if they're pretty basic, is going to give you peace of mind to be able to sleep at night, know that you are influencing effectively, but also safely. So my pleasure. Thank you for the clear answer. You know what? Thank you for the clear question. You guys are great. Okay, more fun questions. Let's see. Oh my gosh, Ethan is the best. Aww. You know, I don't know if you could tell from the lighting, but this is me blushing right now. Yep, I know. I'm going to give you guys your own hearts floating up from the bottom because of how awesome you are. Okay, all right, next question. Hey, Ethan, do you also provide social media marketing services for lawyers and law firms? Is that what social media law and order is for? Wow, you have done your homework. So yes, here at the social media law firm, we do not provide marketing services. We represent businesses and to help protect and grow businesses that use social media through influencer contracts, online terms and conditions and giveaways, website terms and conditions, app terms and conditions, trademarks, copyrights, contracts, compliance, training. Man, we do a lot of stuff. We're a bunch of nerds. But we do have another company called Social Media Law and Order, and that company provides social media marketing services for lawyers and law firms. And so completely two separate companies, but yes, we do that. And you know, one day we're going to start doing lives over there too, as soon as I find a way to clone myself and be able to do two at once. But absolutely we do that. And so thank you for asking. You rock. Okay, next question from Super Knuckles. Oh my gosh, this one's probably going to be tough and I love it. Hi, I'm an influencer that makes my money through OnlyFans. Okay, all right. Well, sign me up. By taking pictures of my feet in exotic locations for businessmen. How do I protect my content from being stolen by the CCP? Okay, first of all, if you've got people buying pictures of your feet on your OnlyFans account, then you must have some fantastic feet. So how are you going to protect yourself as, let's say, a foot influencer on social media? The fact that I'm entertaining this question for you just means that I love you guys so very much. So let's actually talk about this. I'm going to use this as an example to both address your specific question, but at the same time talk about this realistically. Let's say that you are an influencer, all right, and you're making your money off of partnering with brands or selling pictures of your feet, wherever it is that people buy pictures of feet. So there's a couple things that I think that you want to do. First of all, if you are creating content, whether it's pictures of your feet or whether it's videos, photos, websites, you want to make sure that you copyright your content. Meaning that if someone goes out there and steals the picture of your feet and then sells these to other business owners, they're going to cut you out of the market. But if you've copyrighted your content or protected yourself in a way, and then somebody else starts selling those pictures or takes your content and uses it on their own social media platforms, now you have some legal recourse to be able to do so. And so protecting your content comes up really in two places. First is filing a copyright application with the United States Copyright Office, and all influencers should at least consider whether it makes sense to copyright their content, because you could do it in batches, like you, weird influencer that is selling pictures of your feet or whatnot, might have thousands of pictures of your feet, and you can put them into one copyright application and then protect them all. But the second thing is, if you are hiring people to capture content for you, meaning you're hiring a photographer, or you're hiring a videographer, or you're hiring a content creator, many influencers don't know, or brands don't know, that the content creator themselves actually owns the copyright to the photos and videos and graphic designs that they can create for you, unless they are an employee of your company, not an independent contractor, but an actual employee. Or two, if you have, wait for it, that's right, a contract that says that the work that they perform for you is actually owned by you. So you out there, micro influencer, and I'm not saying micro because you got small feet, I'm just saying you influencer that are selling photographs of yourself on OnlyFans or on wherever it is that you're sending them. If you take your business seriously, you'll want to have the right contracts and you want to consider copywriting your stuff, whether you take it yourself or having the right contract that somebody takes photos or videos for you. So thanks. That was probably the most outside the box question that I'll get today, but I'm challenging you guys to see if you can top it. All right, more comments and questions. Thank you so much. That definitely made me feel more relieved. No, I feel relieved knowing that you feel more relieved because of what we've done here today. You make me happy. Helping people makes me happy, and this is great. Okay, just thought about this too. If I don't disclose my brand partnership correctly, what type of penalties can there be? Oh my gosh. All right. I'm thinking of a number in my head between $1,000 and $50,000. What's the penalty for violating influencer laws by not clearly and conspicuously disclosing it's a sponsored post? The answer is $17,000 per post. Really? Really? Yeah, $17,000. Okay, now that might sound crazy to you, but think about it this way. There's been some really big brands out there, Microsoft being one of them, that released a brand new video game, and these things sell for like $60 a pop, and they hired a YouTube video game influencer to talk about the game, to play the footage, and show how much that he liked the game. And as a result of this, hundreds of thousands of his followers watched his videos and got millions of views. And I'm sure Microsoft made a whole ton of money based upon people watching this YouTube channel. So the value that Microsoft got from this person not posting the right types of disclosures and saying, hey, I'm getting paid to make this video, or this is an ad, or this is a sponsored video, or Microsoft gave me the game for free to play and now let me play it for you, as simple as that. $17,000. The fine needs to be that big, because otherwise big brands would just say, you know what, 17,000 bucks, I'll just take the risk of paying the fine because I can make hundreds of thousands of dollars in return. And so the fine or the penalty from the Federal Trade Commission for not following influencer laws is $17,000 per post, because a brand is likely going to be hiring multiple influencers on YouTube or on other channels. And now you got 10 influencers that didn't follow the law because Microsoft didn't tell them what they should or should not be doing. And in that scenario, the fine could be $170,000. So that's why having a contract and following the rules in the first place is so important, because the penalties are so large. Now, I wanted to step back a little bit, because one of the questions you asked before is, I'm a new brand. Do I need to have a contract every time to hire a micro influencer? Am I going to be the one that's going to get hit with a $17,000 fine? The answer is probably not. There's more of a chance that Microsoft or Lord & Taylor, both giant companies that have been in trouble with the Federal Trade Commission for not following influencer laws, it's more likely they're going to get hit with the big fines. But something happened about 2 years ago that started to change the trend to make sure that small businesses just like you follow the law. And what happens is the FTC sent out 50 letters to celebrities as big as J-Lo, Snooki, and Kim Kardashian to say, look, we notice you're not following the influencer laws, and now we're going to be coming after everybody because brands are taking advantage of this stuff. So the fine is very big, and so it's important to know and follow the law so that you don't find yourself on the other end of a FTC violation like Microsoft or Lord & Taylor did. Okay, last few questions, because we are hitting the end, and that question is, can we please save this on IGTV? I need to share it after. So important, and you're very engaging. Aw, shucks. I didn't even pay you to say that. That was great. Yes, I am going to wrap up our discussion now, because we're hitting about a half an hour, and let's face it, you've got better things to do than to spend more than a half an hour with me. So I'm going to save this on IGTV so you can watch it over and over and over and over and over again and share it with your friends. I'm so grateful for you all to be here, but a couple things before we go. So one, if you didn't catch it all, you want to watch it again, it's going to be on IGTV. We also have an Ask Ethan IGTV that is saved there for what do I need to know when hiring content creators, or if I am a content creator. We also have one on trademarks as well, so feel free to go back and watch that. If you've got specific questions about influencer law, whether you're an influencer or the brand that hires them and didn't get a chance to ask your question today, no problem, just slide right in to our DMs. I'm happy to field those questions for you. And if you need any help preparing an influential contract, knowing what the law is, having your questions answered, it would be a pleasure to do so. Just ask Ethan right here at the Social Media Law Firm. It would be an absolute pleasure to serve you as well. And I can't wait to see you on our next Ask Ethan Instagram Live. Thanks so very much, guys. And you'll see you on IGTV very soon.